Thank you. Jazakumullah khair. So this was supposed to be the main lecture actually, but history always takes longer than expected. I have actually more to say about this, but I think we discussed this the first session when we said, is it only a political conflict? And we said, no, it's not just a political conflict. It's all kinds of conflict. It's a religious conflict, it's economic conflict, all types of conflicts. And I told you that the idea of choosing Palestine was to make what's known as that barrier state. A barrier state is basically a puppet state or a buffer state to advance your political interests in a region. So it was the idea of Napoleon Bonaparte. He's the first person who suggested that idea. He was a strategic person, like a military expert, and for him, he was also like a staunch believer in French colonialism, and he wanted to expand the French territories. And he thought that part of the lands, Egypt and the Levant area, is very important because of the Suez Canal, and as I said, because it connects Europe with Asia and Africa. At his time, the Ottoman Empire was still like kind of strong, so or at least existent. It was not as strong. It was weakened, but it was existent. So he thought to make a puppet state in Palestine, so that we make sure, like, all of the Arabs, all of the Arab nations, we have so much in common. Like, we speak the same language, we have the same religion, we have pretty much the same culture, the same even like weather and environment. So these are like reasons for unity, and we actually consider ourselves like brothers. And we like, you have people mating and intermixing, like communities intermixing with each other. Egyptians marrying Palestinians, and Palestinians marrying Syrians, and Syrians marrying Jordanians. So it feels like one family. And this is could, like, even if the Ottoman Empire got dissolved, but there could be like another rise of an empire, like a Muslim empire or an Arab empire, and that would go against your colonial interests. But if you put a puppet state, they will be focused on that puppet state. And of course, if you continue to cause like problems, internal problems in their own countries, they'll be too distracted to fight you, or to form like a union, because they're busy fighting each other or busy fighting that state that you put. And this is why, like, Joe Biden keeps saying the same thing. Like, if Israel didn't exist, we would have invented it. He keeps saying this because, again, like, it serves the political interest of the U.S. They don't care about the Jews. They don't care about Muslims. They don't care about religious sites. They don't care about any of this. They only care about political interests and political gains. And of course, Israel, like white Europeans, they serve their agenda. There are so many types of Zionism. It's not just like one movement. They have like different categories. So you have like secular Zionists, and you have religious Zionism. The religious Zionism actually, or the Zionist movement, didn't have a lot of support within the Jewish, the religious Jewish community at the beginning, because they choose Palestine. And as I said, like in the first lecture, that this goes against their 3 promises in the Talmud, that they shouldn't fight other nations, they shouldn't like forcibly take any land, And if they do the first two, these are like Talmudic promises. If they do the first two, then God will deliver the third promise, which is no other nation shall destroy you. So the religious Jews, they were against Zionism early on, especially that they chose Palestine, and they religiously believed that they were casted out of Palestine for a reason, and they were only returned to the Holy Land with the return of Jesus. And we said this before, that Herzl was a borderline atheist. He was not a religious person. This was not a religious movement for them. But then they decided to use Palestine and to use that national like home for our ancestral land. They decided to use that because it sells, like religion sells, and it's a better story to tell people that these are the lands of our own ancestors, and we're promised this land, so let's go there. But we also mentioned that Judaism is an ethno-religion. It's not just a religion, it's an ethnicity. And this is why, like, you have many secular Jews, they identify as Jews, although they're secular or even atheists, because for them it's an ethnicity. But the religious Jews, they have a particular interest term, which is this one, the Goyim, which is basically the non-Jewish people. And they look with disdain upon only purpose in this life is to serve them, to serve the Jewish people. They are Goyim, and they should just like serve us. And they like this is why like they have no problem. Anyways, the religious Zionism, they started believing in Zionism, especially after 1948, when they declared a state of Israel. They started changing the interpretations of their Talmud. They're like saying that we shouldn't wait until God give us the land again. We should actually do something about it. And they started to adopt this philosophy that we need to take the Zionist movement from the secular Jews, and this is why like we need to be involved in Zionism more than we are. I'm talking about the religious Zionism, and this is why like I'm telling you, you'll have secular Zionists, you'll have socialist Zionists, you'll have religious Zionists, all types of Zionists. By the way, Einstein, he was a Jewish person. He was a Zionist, socialist Zionist. And he supported the state of Israel, but he was against the militant actions of the groups Haganah, Aragon, and Stern. He was just saying that we should depend on the British mandate, and he believed in a two-state solution. The point is, you can find a Zionist. There are even like Christian Zionists. Some of them actually they believe in Zionism because they believe that this will hasten or make the return of Jesus quicker if the Jewish people actually own or return to the Holy Land. And this is why like they'll have this like blind support for Israel. Some of them you'll see them just like give Israel unequivocal support, whatever they do. Even if they commit genocide, we don't care. And I'm reminded here of the infamous Senator Lindsey Graham, because I think a week ago he was doing an interview, and he was the interviewer was asking him about the civilian casualties, and he gave him an answer. He was like, "Don't be naive. Don't be naive. It's just, it will happen. There is no other way. If you have another way of like wiping out Hamas without killing civilians, tell us about it." They're not even saying it's collateral damage anymore. They're saying it's a necessary evil. Not even like collateral damage. It's just something that we have, that we will do. And I couldn't help but think, if you believe that Hamas is a terrorist organization, okay, and you believe that they're taking the Palestinians hostages with you so far, and your idea to get to Hamas is to kill the hostages. Somehow I doubt if those hostages were white Europeans. I think you would have found like a better way to deal with it, because this is not how you like free hostages. Like if the grandchildren, God forbid, if the grandchildren of Senator Lindsey Graham are abducted by terrorists, would he like literally argue that killing the terrorists is more important than my children? Somewhat like I doubt that. Somewhat I think if it gets like personal to him, or about people that he consider humans, equal humans, the policy would change. And I'm reminded of this scene from the Dark Knight movie, Batman, the second one, Christian Bale, when he was the Joker, when he was telling him that your moral code is a bad joke. Just like at the slightest or the first sign of trouble, those civilized people, they will eat themselves. And this exactly what I think when I hear like somebody like Lindsey Graham. It's a bad joke. Like when you keep having these double standards, you cannot have the moral argument and at the same time not acknowledge that there is a genocide that's happening. You have to be inconsistent. Again, like you only use international laws when it suits you. You only use, like, you think that Hamas is a terrorist organization based on what? On killing civilians. Okay, so killing civilians is terrorist attacks, right? But somehow they will, if they kill us, it's a terrorist attack. But if we kill them, it's necessary. And the end justifies the means. And I swear to God, like I've heard this numerous times. You know from who? From the extremists and terrorists. Like I've spent a great chunk of my life debating ISIS people, ISIS sympathizers, ISIS scholars, and Al-Qaeda scholars. They would say the exact same arguments that you hear. They would say the exact same arguments that I hear from Senator Lindsey Graham, for example. The exact same arguments. They would say that this is the only way to make the Arab nations, for example, fight the U.S. by attacking civilians, by killing or bombing embassies, for example, to embarrass them in front of the international world. And they say the same thing about killing civilians in the Western community. And I would argue with them, like I spent, as I said, like a greatest chunk of my life debating them. And I would tell them this is un-Islamic. Like, if you want to do this, just like as a secular person, it's up to you. But don't say, not in my religion's name. Do not use my religion to justify what you're doing, because it's a clear, like many verses and many hadith. Hadith is our Prophet's sayings that specifically say that you do not kill non-combatants. I'll just like mention one ayah and one hadith to respect time here. The ayah Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. And fight in the way of Allah those who fight you, and do not transgress. Verily, God doesn't like transgressors. It's a clear verse in the Quran. Clear verse. It tells you, but he killed my son. I shall go and kill his son. No. You punish that person who killed your son, but his son is innocent. We do not do that. Ultimately, like, why do we live? Like, as Muslims, why do we live? We live in this, we believe that this life is a test. We're all going to die, and we will be held responsible on the day of judgment. God will ask us about everything that we do. And here comes the hadith. Rasulullah peace be upon him, said, لا يزال المسلم في فسحة من دينه ما لم يصب دما حراما. That the Muslim will stay at liberty of his religion, meaning like deserving God's mercy, so long as he does not shed innocent blood. Again, like many hadiths talk about the same idea, but this is like the hadith that I like the most, because it tells you that you are at liberty, like you can do sins. I'm not saying that sins are okay, but everything is not on the same pedestal as shedding innocent blood. And the hadith is very, like, it didn't say like shedding Muslim blood, shedding innocent blood, any innocent blood. The hadith is very clear. So if you're using that to justify like killing innocent people, then not in my religion's name. Like, choose another religion, but not my religion's name, because Rasulullah ﷺ said to his armies when they would go and go to wars, he would tell them, do not kill children, do not kill women, do not kill workers, do not kill anyone who's not carrying a gun and fighting you. And there is this famous incident. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he was the fourth caliphate. One time he was fighting with someone, and he was an excellent fighter. So he disarmed him. Ali ibn Abi Talib disarmed the other person. So the other person was just like a final blow. So he just like spat on his face. So Ali ibn Abi Talib, he was ready to kill him, but when he spat on his face, he left him, and he went to like his way in the battle. So the guy like stood up and ran after him, and he was like, "Why didn't you kill me?" And he was like, Ali ibn Abi Talib told him, "When I was going to kill you, I was going to kill you for the sake of God. But after you spat on me, I was going to kill you for my own sake." And this is why, like, again, like, these are the true Muslims. This is the true Islam. Even when you fight, you do not fight because of glory. We do not fight because we want to steal lands. Yeah, some Muslims do this throughout histories. Yeah, we're not perfect people, but I mean, like, this is not in the name of Islam. So again, you should be consistent. For example, and I know that this is very tough to hear, but again, like, we're trying to be objective here. When the October 7th happened, if you want to say that people have the right to resist, I'm with you. I'm with you. And this is actually, we need to talk about this with care here. Islam deals with people as two like main categories: combatants and covenanters. Those people that you make covenants with, and the combatants. Combatants, those are the people that you are at war with. And the combatants then divide into actual combatants. Those are the people who actually like hold guns and fight you and kill you. And the non-combatants, the workers, women, children, who are not participating in any fight. They're just like, they happen to be in that combatant country. So it's a combatant country, but they're non-combatants. They're, as I said, like, they're working in a supermarket. They're not doing anything. So killing them is haram by numerous verses and numerous hadith. As I said, like, Rasulullah said, like, do not kill any children, do not kill women, do not kill anyone who's not fighting. So if you go and you kill non-combatants, even if they live in a combatant country, if you kill them, you're not at liberty of your religion anymore. You did something wrong. If it's a mistake, we could talk about your mistake, but I mean, again, like you're not at liberty of your religion anymore. We're trying to be consistent here. So, if we think that bombing civilians, our brothers and sisters and our people in Gaza, if we think that bombing civilians is atrocious, then you should be consistent. You should say that civilians on the other side are also innocent and you shouldn't kill them. And the same argument goes for the Israelis. They say that we have the right to defend ourselves. So does the Palestinians. If you have the right to defend yourself, then the Palestinians have a right to defend themselves. But yeah, we're defending our country. So are they? They're defending the country. So just like, try to be consistent. Try to be consistent. Try to deal with, from an intellectual perspective, try to think of these arguments from both sides. Let's go here before I finish this slide. The types of covenants that Muslims make with non-Muslims. We'll ask this in the quiz, inshallah, so you might want to like type it down. The first one is the perpetual covenant, أو العهد المؤبد. This is عهد الذمة. It's basically they become like citizens of that state, but they pay a tax, which is al-jizya. It's a specific tax. Muslims also pay another tax, which is a zakat. But I mean, like, they become citizens of that state. That's the first type of covenant. And this is this type of covenant doesn't end. It's called perpetual for a reason. It doesn't end, and it's inherited. Like if let's say for example, a non-Muslim married and has children, and he has that perpetual covenant with Muslims, then his children they inherit that perpetual covenant as well. And that covenant entails that the Muslim state will defend them, will not ask them to participate in any military actions, will not ask them to enlist, and as I said, on the other hand, they pay this type of tax. The other type of covenant is the absolute covenant, أو العهد المطلق. And this is the same type of ahd or covenant that Rasulullah ﷺ made with the Jews when he entered Medina. The difference between this and the العهد المؤبد, الفرق بين العهد المطلق والعهد المؤبد. العهد المطلق also, like the absolute covenant, is also not time limited. Like you can make this for centuries. It's not time limited, but it's not perpetual. It's not forever. The first one is forever, or at least until Jesus' return. The second one can take as long as it takes, and it doesn't have also the tax, the jizya part. So al-ahd al-mutlaq, زي عهد المدينة. This is the covenant that Rasulullah ﷺ made with the Jews of Medina. There is the third one, which is the temporary treaty, like Hudaybiyah. These are like truce, peace treaties, just like something like this. And the example of it is Sulh al-Hudaybiyah that Rasulullah ﷺ did with the non-Muslims. And the last one is the security contract, which is modern day visa system. وإن أحد من المشركين استجارك فأجره حتى يسمع كلام الله. If some of the non-Muslims ask you for استجيرك?
Labor.
What? For refuge, yeah. If they ask you for refuge, you just like you grant them this refuge, and this is, as I said, like this is as the visa system that happens nowadays. So, for example, when I enter this country, I'm entering on that contract. Like I'm having a contract with them. So I'm telling them, basically, I'm telling the country that I'm traveling to, I'm not coming here as a combatant. I'm coming here as a covenanteer, and I'm making a covenant with you. I have a contract with you, which is the visa system. If I tell them that I'm here to fight you, they would tell me, we're not granting you the visa. Do not come. It's as simple as that. And this is actually what Muslims should do. Like, Muslims do not betray. This is another sin that Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَإِمَّا تَخَافَنَّ مِنْ قَوْمٍ خِيَانَةً فَانبِذْ إِلَيْهِمْ عَلَى سَوَاءٍ. If you have a treaty with someone and you fear that they might break that trust, don't you break that covenant with them. No, don't do that. Even if I'm afraid that they will do it to me, and I should do it first. No, we're Muslims. We're still we deal with God. So what shall you do? You tell them, I'm afraid of you. The treaty that we have is no longer working. So right now we're combatants. You tell them that. You do not trick them. You do not cheat, because that's also forbidden in Islam. So I mean, all of those terrorist attacks that happen inside any of the Western countries, it's a violation of that covenant. If you want to fight with them, go fight with them, but it's like a known war zone. Do not, let alone you kill innocent people. That's another sin. But I mean, even if you kill non-innocent people, I'm telling you, you're violating that type of covenant that you made with them. And vice versa, actually. If they get into your country, you're giving them this security contract. You're telling them you're safe here. So even if they are combatants, let's say that we consider Israel as combatants with Egypt, for example. And combatants, so there are no covenanteers with them, no covenants with them. But they decided to enter Egypt, and Egypt granted them a visa, granted an Israeli a visa. If you grant that Israeli a visa, even if he, the Ariel Sharon, even if he is not an IDF soldier, even if he's the defense minister, you do not get to kill him, because you gave him a security contract. You told him you're safe here. And Muslims, they do not break their own treaties. They do not break their own covenants, because this covenant you make with God first. So if you don't want, if you don't like them, don't allow them to come into your country in the first place. But do not give them that security, you're safe to come in my country, and then I'll kill you in my country. Because if you tell them that you're going to kill them, they're not going to come. So again, this is basically the security contract, or Ahd al-Aman. And Ahd al-Aman, the security contract, it could be done through the state itself as the visa, or by individuals. Because we also have another hadith, المسلمون تتكافأ دماؤهم ويسعى بذمتهم أدناهم. Muslims, they have the same sanctity of life, of blood, and even if the lowest of them, even if one servant, even if a Muslim servant gave somebody a security contract, told him, come enter, even if he's a combatant, and a servant Muslim, a Muslim who has no position in the country, but he gave that person the security, and he told him, you can enter my home and you'll be safe. The whole state has to respect that contract. It was done by one Muslim, even if he's the lowest of Muslims in terms of profession, for example. But still, as a state, you still have to honor it. If you don't want to honor it, you tell that person he's not welcome here. Take him outside, because he's not welcome here. But as long as he entered your state with that security, you have to defend them. So again, this is Islam, basically. This is the types of covenants that are that Muslims make with non-Muslims at times of war or at times of peace. The point is, we have to be consistent. We do not believe in the idea that the end justifies the mean. It doesn't. We are everything is regulated by what Allah Azza wa Jal told us, by what this religion told us. So, because I'm lacking time here, there's so much to be said, wallahi, I guess, but like for example, like these types of covenants, like one Muslim country can do it, and the rest of the countries, like for example, Egypt can do a peace treaty with Israel, and it's the Egyptians, they have to honor it, but not the rest of the countries. There's like so much detail to be said here, but again, like the point that I'm trying to convey is, we Muslims, we do not believe that the end justify the means. And I'm also reminded of this scene from A Few Good Men. Who saw that movie? A Few Good Men is an 80s movie. Tom Cruise. I don't want to spoil it for those who didn't see it, but the courtroom scene, you have to watch it. At the end, every dictator you'll ever see, you'll ever face, they will tell you that we are justified in whatever the hell we do. Even if it's atrocity, it's justified because it's, and they will cite the same one or two arguments. Security arguments, like we have to defend ourselves. You do not know what war is. They'll tell you the same things. But it will always come down to the question, do we have laws or it's a jungle? When you say like international laws, for me, for example, to take Senator Lindsey Graham seriously, this is why like nobody in the world is taking the US seriously anymore. No one is taking the UN seriously anymore. Because you do not apply, these are the rules, the laws that you put forward, not us. So if you're not gonna apply them, and every time you commit an atrocity or your friend commits an atrocity, you'll find like a justification for it. You know what people hate more than a person who does bad things is a person who does bad things and tries to justify it. Like if you say that, like what's the difference between you and Hitler? What's the difference between you and ISIS? If you don't have a moral code, you're pretty much the same. And if that's it, like for example, like if I'm not appealing to Lindsey Graham's humanity, I doubt its existence. Like I don't think he has a humanity in him. So I'm not appealing to his humanity, but my goal is to expose that kind of rhetoric in front of like American constituents. Like I want you to see these politicians for what they really are. They would lecture us about law and order, law and order, law and order. Okay, then you apply that law and order across the board. You apply it all the way. If you're gonna if you're gonna be inconsistent, then you don't have the moral ground to blame Hitler, for example. Why was Hitler wrong? Because you're not consistent in your arguments. You're doing exactly what Hitler was doing, and you're justifying it.